Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this video on a Windows computer, then there is a better than average chance that you are running some version of McAfee antivirus software. Having been founded in 1987, McAfee is the world's largest antivirus company. But do you know about the guy behind the company? Well, if you don't, then stick around because he is quite the character. The company's founder and namesake is none other than John McAfee. And in today's video, we're going to be answering the question, who is John McAfee? McAfee was born in England in 1945, where his American father was stationed on a US Army base. The family moved to Virginia while John was still young, and he would eventually graduate from college with a bachelor's degree in mathematics. The pivotal event of McAfee's early life took place when he was 15 years old. His father, a violent alcoholic who took out his frustration and unhappiness on his wife and son, shot himself dead. Although distraught at the loss of his dad, McAfee went on to study for a PhD in mathematics in Louisiana before being kicked out for sleeping with an undergraduate student. It was at this time that he learned to code, and while drifting through various jobs, he eventually ended up developing a system for routing trains while working for the Missouri Pacific Railroad. By the 1970s, he was in Silicon Valley, bouncing from job to job, and he continued with this routine mixed in with alcohol and drug abuse for the next 10 to 15 years. By 1986, the world's first PC-orientated virus had been developed. McAfee, who at the time was working for Lockheed, became convinced that this new threat had the potential to cause untold damage. As a result, he founded McAfee Associates from his home with a desire to develop software to combat these computer viruses. The biggest genius, however, was not in the software that he developed, but in the strategy that he used to gain market share and establish industry dominance. Rather than follow his competitors and sell his software for a fee, McAfee gave his product away for free. The model meant that the company would then charge for technical support and upgrades. This was a bit of a genius masterstroke, and the strategy proved so successful that McAfee blew away the competition and changed the software industry in general forever. So much so that by the 1990s, McAfee had grown into the largest antivirus company in the world. Perhaps let's not get ahead of ourselves with this one. Things are about to get a bit crazy. Unfortunately, despite the soaring success of the company, by 1994, John had grown bored and stunned the business world when he suddenly stepped down as CEO and sold all of his shares for $100 million. Now, let's not kid ourselves. $100 million is a massive amount of money. However, as the McAfee business continued to grow at an explosive pace, there is a sense that John sold himself rather short. Indeed, if he had held onto his shares until 2010, his stake would easily have made him a multi-billionaire overnight. Still, $100 million isn't to be sniffed at. Again, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Rather than reinvest the money and make it work for him, John went on a bit of a shopping spree. His purchases included a 5-acre oceanfront mansion in Hawaii, a 10-person Cessna private jet, a 157-acre ranch in New Mexico that contained a 35-person movie theater, artwork, and dozens of luxury cars. He also poured $25 million of his cash into building a 10,000 square foot, 200-acre estate in Colorado, which would be his primary home base. Another headline purchase was when John acquired millions of dollars worth of Lehman Brothers bonds. Unfortunately, Lehman Brothers declared bankruptcy in October 2008, and his investment became worthless. The cash was gone, and his $100 million fortune was blown. This meant that John was forced to sell as many assets as possible, making huge losses in the process. His $25 million Colorado estate fetched just $5.7 million. The Hawaii mansion was dumped for $1.5 million. When it was all said and done, McAfee, who was once worth over $100 million and had blew a chance to be worth several billion, was down to just $4 million. Following the sale of his assets, John moved to Belize in 2009, where he purchased a waterfront bungalow compound and started dating a 17-year-old local girl. Things didn't go smoothly. For example, he attempted to launch a new age pharmaceutical company. However, local police began to suspect that he was actually manufacturing methamphetamine and an ultra-potent strand of bath salts. When police raided his house in May 2012, they found dozens of guns and they threw McAfee in jail. Things took a further turn for the worse in November 2012, when authorities in Belize announced that McAfee was the prime suspect in the murder of a fellow expat named Gregory Fall, one of McAfee's neighbours. John fled to Guatemala, but his location was given away after giving an interview with Vice. Maybe his ego getting ahead of him there. He was subsequently arrested by Guatemalan police and detained for several weeks before being deported to the United States. It's quite a big fall from grace, and unfortunately it doesn't really get any better. Having lived in relative peace until 2019, John found himself once again on the run, this time from the US authorities, after learning he was about to be charged with tax evasion. A few months later, John and some friends were arrested while his yacht was docked at port in the Dominican Republic. Dominican police were suspicious that John and his companions were transporting weapons. He was once again arrested and detained. McAfee has been back in the news of late, and he was arrested once more in October 2020, this time in Spain. The Spanish authorities were acting at the request of the United States Department of Justice, which at that point claimed John failed to pay taxes on millions in alleged income between 2014 and 2018. He reportedly didn't file a tax return in any of those years. The day after his arrest, the US Securities and Exchange Commission filed a complaint that alleged McAfee earned $23 million in digital assets promoting initial coin offerings, without disclosing that he was an investor in those ICOs. He is alleged to have perpetrated a cryptocurrency pump and dump scam that resulted in several million worth of ill-gotten gains. On March 5, 2021, the US Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York formally indicted John and a partner for allegedly promoting cryptocurrencies over Twitter without disclosing that they were secretly investors. The currencies rose in value soon after tweets were published on McAfee's account, where he has hundreds of thousands of followers. McAfee and the partner allegedly sold their stakes for a profit as the currency values rose. US authorities are now seeking his extradition from Spain, and if found guilty, he faces 60 years behind bars. When all is said and done, he certainly has some crazy stories to tell. But was it all worth it? Some people would say so, some people wouldn't. Well guys, that's about it for today's video. I hope that you found this video about John McAfee quite interesting. I certainly enjoyed researching his life. He's a very crazy and colourful person. Having watched the video, I'd be interested to hear what you think about him and his business venture, what he's achieved and what he's not achieved. Put the comments down below and I'll try and reply to all you guys. And if you've got any questions, just let me know. I'll see you guys on the next one. Crypto, Money, Life.